I'm divorcing my husband, but he alienates my daughter against me and tells me I'm a liar. Oh boy. My husband's wedding ring sits on the kitchen counter, mocking me like a discarded promise. I found it there this morning, glinting under the fluorescent light, as if he'd left it to scream. I'm done with you, Sarah. By noon. Our daughter Lily was screaming too, calling me a liar, her words sharper than any knife I've ever held. This wasn't how I imagined my life at 38. I thought I'd be baking cookies with Lily, laughing over her teenage dramas, not standing in a courtroom, watching my marriage unravel while my daughter glares at me like I'm the villain. David, my husband of 15 years, has spent the last 6 months turning Lily against me, whispering poison in her ear while I fight to keep our family from collapsing entirely. It started small missed dinners, late nights at work, the faint scent of perfume that wasn't mine. But now, it's a full-blown war, and I'm losing the only person who matters, my daughter. The hook that dragged me into this mess was a text I wasn't supposed to see. David left his phone on the couch, and when it buzzed, I glanced at the screen out of habit. Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. It read, from a contact named Jay. My heart stopped. I scrolled, my hands shaking, and found months of messages flirty, intimate, undeniable. David was having an affair. When I confronted him, he didn't even flinch. You're paranoid, Sarah, he said, his voice smooth as glass. You're imagining things. But I wasn't. I had proof, and I had resolve. I filed for divorce the next week. That's when the real battle began. David didn't just want out, he wanted to win. He started with Lily, our 14-year-old, who used to tell me everything: her crushes, her fears, her dreams of becoming an artist. Now, she barely looks at me. Dad says you're lying about him. She spat at me last week, her hazel eyes, my eyes narrowed in distrust. He says you're trying to ruin our family. I wanted to scream that he was the one ruining us, but I bit my tongue. Yelling wouldn't bring her back. David's strategy was brutal. He'd take Lily out for ice cream, buy her new sketchbooks, play the fun dad while painting me as the bitter, unhinged ex. He told her I was exaggerating his mistakes, that I was too controlling, too emotional. He even convinced her I was hiding money, trying to cheat him in the divorce. Every word was a calculated strike, alienating her from me, brick by brick. I'd hear her on the phone with him, laughing, while I stood in the kitchen, clutching a mug of cold coffee, wondering how my life had become a battlefield. But I wasn't innocent either. I made mistakes. I was so consumed by the divorce lawyer meetings, late night crying, gathering evidence that I neglected Lily. I didn't notice how quiet she'd become, how her sketchbook stayed closed, how her smile faded. I thought she'd understand, eventually, that I was fighting for us. I was wrong. One night, it all came to a head. Lily stormed into the house, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her face red from crying. "Why are you doing this to Dad?" she yelled. "He told me everything, how you're trying to take me away from him." I froze, my heart splintering. "Lily, that's not true," I said, reaching for her. She pulled away. "You're a liar," she whispered, and the word cut deeper than anything David had ever done. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the last year. Had I pushed too hard? Had I been too angry? I remembered the early days with David, when we were young and broke, laughing over cheap wine in our tiny apartment. We'd promised to face everything together: bills, dreams, parenthood. Where had that gone? I didn't recognize the man who now weaponized our daughter against me. But I also didn't recognize myself, the woman who'd let resentment and pain drown out her daughter's voice. The next morning, I made a decision. I couldn't control David, but I could fight for Lily, not with anger or arguments, but with love. I started small. I left a note on her sketchbook. "I miss your drawings. Can we talk?" She ignored it, but I kept going. I cooked her favorite pancakes, sat through her favorite anime without complaining, and asked about her day, even when she answered in monosyllables. I wasn't trying to win her over. I was trying to show her I was still here. Weeks passed, And the divorce proceedings dragged on. David's lawyer painted me as unstable, using my late-night emails to friends venting about the affair as evidence of my erratic behavior. I wanted to scream in the courtroom, to tell the judge about the texts, the lies, the perfume, but I stayed calm for Lily. I didn't want her to see me as the monster David was making me out to be. One evening, I found Lily sitting on the porch, her sketchbook open but untouched. I sat beside her, not saying anything at first. The silence was heavy, but it wasn't hostile. Finally, and she spoke. "Why didn't you tell me about Dad's girlfriend?" Her voice was small, vulnerable, not accusing. My throat tightened. I'd been protecting her, or so I thought, by keeping the details vague. But she wasn't a child anymore. She deserved the truth. "Lily," I said softly, "I didn't want you to hate him. I thought if I told you everything, it would hurt you more." I paused, choosing my words carefully. "Your dad's made mistakes, but so have I. I should have talked to you, not just fought with him. I'm sorry." She didn't respond, but she didn't leave either. We sat there watching the sunset, and for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. The turning point came unexpectedly. David slipped up. He'd been so careful, keeping his affair hidden. But one day, Lily saw him with Jay at the mall. She came home in tears, not because of the affair, but because he'd lied to her face. He said it was just a friend. She sobbed, but I saw how he looked at her. I held her, letting her cry, not saying a word about David. She didn't need my anger. She needed my presence. From then on, things shifted. Lily started talking to me again, not much, but enough. She showed me a new drawing, a stormy sea with a lighthouse standing strong. "It's you," she said quietly. I nearly broke down. I wasn't the perfect mother, but I was hers, and she was starting to see that. The divorce was finalized a month later. I didn't get everything I wanted. David kept the house, but I got shared custody of Lily. More importantly, I got her trust back, piece by piece. David's influence lingered, but it was weaker now. He'd underestimated Lily's ability to see through his lies, and he'd underestimated me. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for her, for the family we could still be, even if it looked different now. Looking back, I realized this wasn't just about a failed marriage. It was about learning to love through pain, to forgive without forgetting, and to choose hope over hate. David's betrayal broke my heart, but losing Lily's trust nearly broke my soul. Rebuilding that trust taught me that love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when it hurts. I still see David's ring in my mind sometimes, sitting on that counter, a symbol of everything we lost. But I also see Lily's lighthouse, a reminder that even in the darkest storms, there's a way forward. I'm not the villain, and neither is David. Not entirely. We're just two flawed people who forgot how to love each other, but are learning, slowly, how to love our daughter better. What do you think? Was I wrong to shield Lily from the truth at first? Was David wrong to turn her against me? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear where you stand on this messy human story. And